Hi, Dylan here from K72. What I'm going to do right now in this third video in the series about FreeRace Master is run you through how to set up and run a trial event. So you've got the software, you've got it installed, it's set up, it's working, now you just want to try it out. Okay, so what we're going to need to do this is we need FreeRace Master, and I've got the shortcut here on the desktop which I've double clicked on, and here's the application running now. I'm doing this with version 1737. You're also going to need at least one GPS file from the location where you want to have your event. And I'll show you why you're going to need that in a minute. It doesn't have to be a file from the event, it just needs to be a GPS file that's from the same place where the event was, because we're going to use that to help us set up our location. Right, so the first thing you need to do when you're setting up an event in FreeRace Master is decide where the event's going to be. Now, you've never used the application before, so we're setting up a location for the first time. Locations are places where races happen. A location might be your favorite lake, or it might be your favorite beach. And you can have lots of locations in the system, but you tend to reuse the same ones over and over again. You only need to set up a location once. Once it's created, it's ready to use next time you want to grab it. So we're going to go ahead now and create a location. And I'm going to add a new location. This location I'm going to call Burham, because it's actually based on Burham Heads, and I'm going to click the Auto button here. As you can see by the pop-up tooltip text, when we click on this button, it uses a GPS track to automatically work out some stuff about where it is that you want to hold your event. So we click Auto, and now it wants me to browse to a location. So we'll go to the desktop and get that file, bh3, open it up. Now, you need to be connected to the internet for this stage, but really that's the only thing you need to be connected to the internet for when you're using FreeRace Master. So once you've created a location, you don't need to be online to use the software. We designed it to be able to work offline, but for this little bit of being able to create a location automatically, you need to be online. Now you can see what it's done is it's taken the information that was in this track, which was someone sailing in this area, and it's used that to go and grab an aerial photo that suits that location, and it's set up the coordinates for you as well. So it's already worked out that stuff for you. Now you can do this stuff yourself manually. You can pick your own image that you've gotten from your own mapping software, and you can type in the coordinates yourself, but using the Auto button sure saves a lot of time. So we're going to click Save now, and now we've got our new location, and that location is called Burham. Alright. So, locations created. Well done. Next we're going to go on and we're going to create an event. So we click the Event button and Create New Event on the menu. And the location that we just set is the default location picked on the menu. So here we can see a full screen image of that aerial, that zone where we're going to be doing the racing. Now, FreeRace consists of a race around a zone that you define by saying there's some markers at the edge of the zone. I'm not going to go into that in too much detail here. I'm just showing you how to set up a real quick one, and we're going to say, okay, well, as long as people sail around in this area that's defined by the photo, that's fine, that counts, it don't matter. So I'm just going to do the quickest thing possible here. I'm going to go and press the Markers button, and we're going to say Marker A is automatic, whole overlay, and marker B is automatic, whole overlay. Now there's going to be a whole other video about these options and the details, but for the purposes of just setting this up for the first time, just run with this. It's nice and quick and simple. Okay, you'll see a little red dot appear here. That's marker A, and that's the left edge. The right edge is a green dot that's hard to see against this background. It's right over the right hand side here. Okay. Now the other thing that we need to do is set a date for our event. So we've got the location established for the event. Now we want to say what date the event's going to happen on. And because I happen to have some files from Burham Heads from the 20th of March, I'm going to go ahead and put the 20th of March in as the date of the event. Save. Okay, that's done. Alright, we've created our event. Easy as. Locations, create once, use many times. Events, you usually create them a day or two before you're actually going to run the event, when you know that the event's going to happen. If you create an event and you didn't mean to, there's an option on the menu to delete unused events. That gets rid of events that don't have any tracks against them. We're going to go ahead and load these tracks into the event. This isn't an event that's actually happened as an event. This is just a fake event where I'm using some other files just to test it out. But you know, you can go to the beach and run your own event if you like. We'll hit the event menu. In your case, there'll just be one at the top. I've got a bunch of events in here that have been from previous runs of the software. We're going to pick Burham. Now you're going to see this box come up. You do not have a license for this event date, so you won't be able to load more than 3 tracks into this event. That's cool, it's a trial, we're just doing 3 tracks anyway, so not a problem. Click OK. Alright, the first thing you need to do is set what's the time, the start time of the event. And we're going to start our time at 2:30 p.m. So I can type that as 2:30 p.m. and notice the end time automatically adjusts to 3:30 p.m. You can also type that in as 14:30 and it should also work. It's fairly important that you get the time in before you start loading the files, because when the files are loaded they clip out the stuff that happens either side of the event. By default a free race runs for an hour, so it's running for an hour from 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. Now we don't have any sailors in your system yet. They just don't exist, and you haven't connected any sailors to this event either. So what we do is we say, okay, well here comes the first sailor, and I'm just going to add them by clicking this button here. If you've already run events before, you're going to see a big list here of all the different sailors that you've used before. But in your case, because it's your first time, this list is going to be empty, and you're going to need to enter this stuff here. So you either select an existing sailor, or you add a new sailor. I'm going to add a new sailor. This is Barry Otto, legendary screen actor. And club code is really just used for your own purposes. You can put whatever you want in here. We tend to use a 2 or 3 letter code to indicate whether the person's in a club or not. So we might put in WW, which is short for Wind Wanderers. There are 3 groups in Free Race at this point, A, B and C. The only difference between them is that the C is only a half-hour event, so they'll only get the first half hour. If you're thinking of running free races that only go for half an hour, put everyone in Group C and it'll be a half-hour event for them. It's the first half hour of the event, so in our case, because the event starts at 2:30, it'll be from 2:30 to 3 o'clock. People who are racing for an hour go in Group A or B. Different clubs on different organizations split these up differently. We tend to run these as the self-nominated, so people say they're in Group A and they stay in Group A all season, and they compete against the hardcore people for the top prizes. Group B is more intermediates. C's people that are just getting into it and want to give it a go, and perhaps don't feel confident that they can do a whole hour. Other clubs do different things. They might say A uses particular equipment, whereas B is more open. You can use whatever gear you want, that sort of thing. It's your choice. There's 3 categories here, and at the moment Groups A and B run for an hour, and Group C is half an hour. So I'm going to stick our people all in Group A, because it's only a trial. So we'll make them elite. Here's another administrative thing. We tend to sell entry fees for Free Race online. So if they've bought the entry fee online, we just click this button. If they paid on the day when they get there, we click this one. And if they got a season pass, so we might have an entry fee which is you pay once and it covers the whole season, we click this button. It doesn't have any function outside of the data in the system. It's really just for our reference, and I'm hoping that it'll be more useful to you in the future as well. So these guys are all trials, so I'm just going to say they're single shot. Hit single shot, and Barry Otto's in the list. Now I can go on and add my other sailors, or I can load the file right now. There's no worries either way, so I'm going to add another sailor, and this time we're going to go with Barry's talented daughter Miranda, and she's in another club. She's also elite and single shot and in. And one more. Let's say Edna Everidge, who's also in that club. So single shot. Okay, so we've got our 3 sailors. Now I can load a file against that sailor. So Barry Otto, it's taken us straight to our desktop, and this is Barry's file. Loading a file will depend, the speed of that will depend on the speed of your computer. The type of laptop that we take to the beach, which is a cheap Acer model, usually takes about 30-40 seconds to load the files. When it's finished loading, it'll tell you file's been added, 3,601 valid points, which is pretty good because you get 1 point a second normally, so there's your 1 hour, 3,601, and it took 13 seconds. If you have, less than that, it may be because people's GPSs aren't set up properly. So it's worth having a look at that. For a valid 1 hour race, you're looking at a number around 3,600. So click OK, and straight away we see what Barry's top speed was, 12.773. Okay, now we're going to load up Miranda's track. Miranda can have this track here. And again, I'm expecting this will take around about the same amount of time to load. 10 seconds. 3,116 points in that one. I don't know if you saw that. So Miranda's got some points that are not valid for the event. It may be that the GPS is not set up properly, or it's got a min speed set so it doesn't record points every second, or Miranda might have sailed outside of the sailing zone for the event, in which case those points will be discarded. Edna, I'm going to open that file. Okay, 3,601 points. Now, you can click on one of these tracks and it'll show you that sailor's path. So this is Barry, this is Miranda, very similar, and this is Edna. Okay, Edna spent a bit more time near the beach. The color coding on the track reflects how fast people were traveling at that time. So the yellower, the hotter the color, the brighter the yellow, the faster they were moving. And it goes right down to a dark green here, which is when they're basically walking. Here we can see that the speeds were 12.773, 11.195, and 7.709. Those are the 3 speeds for those 3 events. Now, if I go to try and add another loaded file for another sailor in, its system's going to say, no, you're on a trial. So we can run these 3. We've got our results there, and if you click this button here, the results get copied to the clipboard, and you can paste them into Excel or into your results tallying software, whatever you like. Okay, so that's the process of loading files into an event. Next video will show you how to create a replay of this event. Thank you, it's Dylan from K72.